Why do you like craft beer so much?
It's honest.
It's honest?
Yes. Craft beer is honest product. People want to see where their beer is made. And I think people want to know that there's a person they can complain to if something's wrong, instead of a 1-800 number. If you consider a big brewer's product, a machine harvests the grain, a machine transports the grain, a machine extracts the sugar, and the brewing process happens by machines all the way till it's bottled and put on the shelves. Probably the time it's put on the shelf is the first time a human has touched that product. So craft beer, it's just a lot more hands-on, and I think the human element finds problems sooner, and when you're doing the touchy-feely, you get more of an experience and you're exposed more to it. So it's just more honest from a brewer's standpoint, I think.
So would you say becoming a home brewer really wanted you to become an owner of a brewing company?
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, home brewing really led me down that path. Do you home brew?
I do not home brew.
You're fucking up.
So this is a process called boil-off. We're basically running the wort from the bottom of the mash tun over top of itself in a closed loop, and that's going to compress the grain bed, and that'll create its own gravity filter with the husk of the barley. So it'll clarify the beer, it'll aid in the conversion of the starches to simple sugars, and it'll basically just get everything ready to go over the boil kettle as clean and as pure as possible. And then at that point, we'll taste it, and you'll see what the finished product is going to feel like.
So this stuff is drinkable?
Yes,
okay.
It's just unfermented beer. It's just basically like a highly concentrated sugar solution with a lot of different flavoring compounds in it from the specialty malts.
So wort is unfermented beer?
Yes.
Okay.
So this is resistor wort. But right now you should notice it's like kind of starchy and sticky in the back of your throat, and that's because not all the sugars have been converted yet. And then some of the actual beer character will start to poke through, so you'll get a little bit more roast from the crystal malt. We're gonna get some like Hershey's or confectioner sugars, chocolate flavors coming through from the pale chocolate malt. A little bit of caramel roasty notes from the crystal as well.
Yeah, I can definitely taste the caramel in there. It's like, I could kind of taste the sugar, but it's definitely very starchy, but also delicious.
Yeah, it's like brewer's tea. It's really nice on a cold brew day and whatnot.
So what's it like for you as a brewer to spend all this time here and then go to the store and walk down the beer aisle and see one of your beers on the shelf?
It's humbling.
Yeah.
It's really cool. The first beer I ever made was on a shelf, which was really jarring. And it's just really cool to see the grapes up there. I mean, I grew up in Columbus, so like Columbus Brewing Company is right next to Photon Light Lager.
I started really getting into beer about 8 or 9 years ago. I was living in Chicago. It was really during their big craft beer renaissance.
Okay.
Decided to start homebrewing. And it kind of brought together the artistic side I have and the analytic side, the arts and sciences kind of together, and really got into beer. And my old college roommate, Walt, who ended up starting the brewery with me, fantastic designer. I always say, as like a good home brewer does, you name your brewery and you name your beers, and so you start making labels for them. And Walt started knocking out some amazing looking labels, and they started looking better than a lot of things that we saw on the shelf, and beer started tasting good.
So normally we run beer through the dissolved oxygen meter, and it tells us how much oxygen is in the beer. We're at about 9,200 right now. We're getting ours below 100, and that's super exciting for us. That'll help improve our shelf life a ton.
Now, what's the difference between a shelf life of a mass distribution company compared to local distribution company like you guys?
There's a ton of different factors. Oxygen being the easiest one to look at and fix. Right now we have a 90-day shelf life on most of our beers. I don't really know what the big guys do, probably 6 months or something, but I don't really know. But there's so many other factors that go into that. With ours having a lot of aroma and from the hops and everything, ours tend to be, the beer changes more in ours. It doesn't necessarily mean it went bad or is stale, but some of the aroma can go away and whatnot. And oxygen is the biggest enemy of that. So that's how we try and do that. Oxidation is the worst thing you can do to beer.
So would you say even though it's past your 90-day shelf life, it's still drinkable beer, but it's just not consistent with
completely safe to drink? It's just not, doesn't have all the flavors we want you to taste. No pathogens can grow in beer, so it's always safe to drink.
Okay.
It's always safer than water, so that's always good to know.
That is always good to know.
You go to Mexico, drink beer.
Drink beer.
When we started this place, our goal was to be the place where you could have the experience of brewing your own beer. And what we wanted to do was create a place where people like me who really love craft beer and have never brewed it can actually have the hands-on experience of making their own craft beer. We opened this space a little over 4 years ago, and we're the only place in Central Ohio where our customers can come in and do the brewing.
If I don't know anything about beer, do you give me a recipe? Do we come up with a new one? Like, what's the process?
If you don't know anything about brewing beer, this is the perfect place to start, because we will walk you through not only tasting some beers to determine what style you want to brew. We've got over 40 different styles of beer that you can choose from to brew, so there's really something in there for everybody. After you've decided what kind of beer you want to brew, we send you over to the brewery with the brewer, and they walk you through the whole process. It's going to take about 3 hours to make 15 gallons of beer. It goes back into our fermentation room, and then our customers come back about 3 weeks later, and they bottle it up, and they're going to take home 6 cases of beer. So that works out to about 70 to 80 22-ounce bottles, or about 144 12-ounce bottles.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
How many people have you had do that in the
We've
5
actually,
years you've been
we're
here?
over 3,300 groups have come through and brewed their own beer now.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you have any that have brewed like their own recipe that you guys have kind of fallen in love with?
Yeah, absolutely. We have had some beers that were so good that we made them available to other customers. We started with about 30 recipes, and we've grown to over 40 over the past few years, some of that from customer input and some fun, successful experimental recipes along the way.
How many barrels of beer are we brewing today?
So this is essentially a half-barrel batch of beer. It's 15 gallons, 1 barrel, one what we call a U.S. barrel is 31 gallons.
All right.
It's not what you think of like a wine barrel or a whiskey barrel. It's an actual measurement of fluid. So what I'm going to do real quick, I'm going to ask you to grab one of those cups of hops. Go ahead and add that hop addition. Just go ahead and sprinkle them on in there. And then I'm just going to crack the heat back open. And so as you can see, that once we add those hops in, they'll actually start to break up that foam cap. They'll help to kind of agitate it around, and it's actually what we call the hot break. I'll kind of stay and hang out a little bit just to make sure that the heat's not too hot. So I'll just make sure that we have enough heat so that's at a rolling boil, but not too much heat so that's boiling over.
Man, this is looking really cool. The foam is starting to turn green a little bit.
That's a very good looking boil.
Okay.
I'm happy with it. Go ahead and grab that handle that says steam and lift it till it's horizontal. This is at the point where we take over, and then 3 weeks, you guys will bottle your beer up and take it home and drink 6 cases of beer.
So first off, we're gonna get the duck going. This is one of my favorite things. Springtime coming up, it's really good. It's nothing like being in hot weather, eating some local chicken pate with a maple leaf duck breast.
So you kind of just decorating this over the whole plate?
Yeah, we do a nice smear on it. You'll see in the end, it forms a nice interaction with the guest, and you kind of have to use the bread to clean the plate up.
So when you're creating these menu items, you're really looking how to interact the customer with the plate.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
How to engage them as much as possible, get them having fun and getting them into the food as much as possible.
Right.
Then we'll season with a good amount of Saison vinaigrette.
Does this have any relation to a Saison beer?
Yeah, we actually take the La Abondance and we emulsify it with oil and a little bit of mustard and a good amount of salt and just a splash of orange juice. But yes, we do put the La Abondance in the Saison vinaigrette.
That's awesome.
Then we'll get this guy all stirred up. try to get all those ingredients mixed in and incorporated and dispersed as much as we can. You're looking for that nice creamy texture from the emulsified vinaigrette. It'll add that nice creamy mouthfeel to it. With all the flavors that are in here, it's going to turn into a really good dish. So then once that is done, we start plating. We can see all the ingredients in there, the different radishes, we can see the frisee, we can see the fennel, everything's kind of right there. We're going to just slice the duck, and then we'll take that right on the plate here. That's our duck dish on the spring menu right now.
Wow, check that out. That looks fantastic.
We'll get you eating this in a minute, and we'll pair it up with some beers.
You'll find duck in every single menu, on our brunch menu, our lunch menu, and on our dinner menu every season throughout the year. I'd really recommend L'Abondance, which is our Belgian Saison. It's brewed with a little bit of rye and also has a pretty big wheat component to it. It's nice and bright and citrusy with almost some spicy, peppery notes to it, which would really complement the citrus, the dressing in there, and provide a nice balance against the meat in the dish.
Awesome.
So I got a little sample for you here. If you
All
wanna
right.
dig in there.
So what do I do first? Do I eat? Do I drink?
I don't know if the order really matters, but I do really recommend when you're pairing beer with food to alternate. I think a lot of people get into the groove of just finishing their dish and then finishing their beer, but to really get the full experience of the beer and food pairing is, take a sip between bites, and it'll kind of play off each other really well.
All right, well, I'll go for the salad first since that has the dressing on there. That's really nice and fresh. Yeah, I really get a nice citrus flavor out of that.
Yeah, part of that comes from our Belgian yeast. We ferment at a very warm temperature, which tends to throw off esters, which in many yeast strains or many styles of beer are a bad thing, but for a beer like this, it's a very good thing. This beer ferments at almost 90 degrees Fahrenheit, which is very warm for a beer, but then it throws off a lot of those nice, bright, fruity notes. And then we actually dry hop our Saison, which isn't super common, it's not uncommon, but that also adds, again, another layer of fruitiness coming from the hops.
Yeah, it really meshes well with the duck, too.
Oh yeah, especially the way they cook it, it's always tender and it's a little bit fattier, there's just so much more flavor to it. The other thing when pairing beer with food is you don't want to overwhelm the food with the beer, you either want to complement it or contrast a little bit. There's not necessarily ever a wrong pairing, but if I were to throw some stout at you right now, it would kind of like cover over all the flavors of the lighter citrus, or it almost clash in a way.
Being right in the heart of everything is really wanting to be, because this is what we are. We're a local community business, and it's better serving the community when you're in it. We're right on the edge of Grandview in the short north, but technically this is 5th by Northwest District, which is a smaller district on the outskirts of Grandview. But I mean, for all intents and purposes, we're in Grandview. Yeah, right, connecting right into the short north right off here in Olentangy.
So why Grandview 5th by Northwest location?
It fits exactly to the model of wanting to be in the middle of the community and wanting to be amongst everything, because it's exactly where we're at. From what I've talked to, the founder and a few of the other investors when they're looking, this is exactly what they wanted. And they were right to choose so. Society-wise, we are more local driven in our communities. That sense of pride and where we come from is can be seen throughout. Everything that we do, what we live, how we work. And so it only makes sense that, people wanted to get into this themselves and can't really get into the big beer industry, so their own passions themselves is what's going to help drive starts like these. And like Jeff did himself, operating a small 1.5 barrel batch system out of a warehouse a couple blocks away, that kind of desire to help grow your own and grow something, give something back to the community is exactly what Zauber is trying to do, and we try to strive to do.
So how do you get people into the door here? I mean, we're in the tap room. It's awesome. I see some black and yellow flags. Now, I'm assuming that's not for the Steelers.
No, no, it is not for the Steelers. We are a Columbus town, and the black and yellow C here is actually for Columbus Crew SC. One of our partnerships is with Columbus Crew SC, and we are a tap room and entity that hugely loves soccer. Clearly, if you can see the flags and scarves. And a lot of these scarves have been donated by people and fans. And when they visit here, you'll see like U.S. soccer supporter scarves from Cincy, from San Antonio, obviously our own here in Columbus. And then we have people internationally that come back and bring us scarves too. It completely aligns with what we are about and being able to offer something else, something different, something more to the community, and something that we were also equally interested and passionate in. There was a great positive reaction as far as locals, our customers, as a fan base, because we try to offer every method to be able to watch soccer, no matter what league you're into. Whether it's at 7:30 a.m., we'll open at 7:30 a.m. for the first match. Wow. And we house not one but 2 supporter clubs here. So it can, about 10 a.m., you can very easily come to see about 60, 70 people drinking beer.
You're kidding me.
Watching soccer, yeah, no, yeah.
At 7:30, 10 a.m.?
7, yeah, it just depends on what match is planned.
Spurs is just the shortening for Tottenham Hotspur. You'll get a funny look if you say the Spurs.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's
okay,
not,
so
it's not proper.
Spurs.
It's Spurs.
Spurs.
Tottenham Hotspur Football Club or Spurs. They basically like to force a team into turnovers. Okay. They're a big pressing team. Press, press, press. We are a group that loves to make sure that they don't have the ball very often. The back line will try to basically stay all together and play a high. That's good. That's good. Said, he's our number 23. Eric said, came to play for you and me. To the left, to the right, he's our midfield dynamite. When he plays, keep it white. He makes Ozil look shite. Woo! Yeah!
What a
That
goal.
is pretty.
That was a good goal, man.
Score early, score often. Never a bad thing.
Today was an awesome game.
It's fantastic. 2-1 win?
Yeah.
Never going to complain about it.
And what makes Zauber like the spot for a Spurs event?
For Zauber, it is a unique environment. It's not just your standard, sports bar or anything like that. You look around, you're surrounded by soccer gear. There's scarves all over the place. Yeah. If you're a soccer fan, this is where you want to be. If you just like really good beer, be here.
First thing I noticed was how amazing this location is. Can you tell me more about where we are? We're in the Clintonville neighborhood of Columbus, so just north of campus. Very residential, family-oriented, but up and coming and kind of growing.
Why is Clintonville important to Lineage?
Well, the first reason is because we live in Clintonville, all 4 of us, and it was important for us to have a business in the community we live. It's a little bit eclectic, it's family-oriented, it's a little bit slower paced than down in the short north, but busier than some of the suburbs. It's easy to get everywhere. It's easy for people to get to us. It just has everything. But I mean, really, it's just we love the neighborhood.
Now, where do you see the craft beer industry going compared to where it has been?
I kind of see the focus going back on small neighborhood breweries. Whereas, if you visit Europe and lots of parts of Germany and in Belgium, they have the smaller breweries that thrive. Not everybody's doing 20,000 barrels a year and pushing it out to the grocery stores. But you have these little models that are producing, world-class beer, but kind of have the experience that we have here.
Right.
And I think that that's where the room to grow is.
Why did you choose this building here on North 4th?
When we were starting out, we really didn't want the industrial kind of storage locker look to everything. We wanted windows, and we wanted it to be attached to a bar, and we wanted there to be activity and people, and for the people who work in the brewery to be able to see the people who are drinking their beer and everything, and vice versa.
Now, how important is the community, the Columbus community, to you guys?
Oh, it's huge. We would not be where we are at all without all the people who kind of come in here and make this place a little bit of their own. The reason we exist and we do well and we make good beer is because of all the people who come in here. Pretty much every empty lot in Italian Village now is bought by somebody, and somebody's getting ready to put up a condo or a mixed use or something there. And it's just brought, I don't know the stats for sure, but I would say probably several hundred people to kind of are directly within walking distance of our brewery.
And do you think that Seven Sun has helped this community grow?
I hope so a little bit.
Yeah.
Hopefully we kind of showed people that you can have a nice bar and tap room area and not be worried about the neighborhood, and that the neighbors are all going to be kind of welcoming and accepting. And
Now, where do you see the industry going in the next 5 years as far as the Columbus market?
There's still a lot of room in Columbus. We were the 8th brewery to open up in Columbus. North High lets us tell people we were the 7th one.
Okay.
Sometimes technically they were the 7th.
Yeah.
There's just all different levels. And I think there's plenty of room for everybody who's making good beer to kind of come into the market. I think it's going to become a lot more of a just kind of regular thing. Like, it's not going to be, oh wow, there's a microbrewery. It's like, of course there's 2 breweries within walking distance of my house. Why wouldn't there be?
That's pretty amazing to consider that, considering 5 years ago there was there's less than 5.
That's one of the cool things about 4th Street is you can actually go, if you have like a nice 70 or 80 degree sunny day, you can start walking down an elevator and then hit Wolf's Ridge and then hit Hoof-Hearted and then hit us and then go up to North High. And I think that's all within like maybe a mile and a half, something. I'd like to stay within Ohio, but I'd like to be recognized as putting out really good beer for anywhere in the country. I think that Ohio in general, it's not just really good for Ohio anymore. It's like, hey, this is good beer for anywhere in the country. You're gonna come here to Columbus and you're gonna try like at least a half dozen breweries that'll stand right next to anything else that's out there, whether it's California, Colorado, Oregon, anywhere.